Hello everyone and welcome to another video. It's the end of the transfer window, 31st of January 23-26. So the transfer window has actually officially closed now. Arsenal, have just made two signings for the January period. Two loan signings, which I think is probably all we were expecting really, when it, as Arsenal fans, you never do business in January. Even under Arsene Wenger, we didn't really ever do business in January as such. Players that you want are probably never going to come. They're already ensconced in teams, and anyone decent is already going to be at a club or doing business, so they're not going to want to come to another club and upheave everything midway through the season. But in terms of who we've signed, I think the positions are good. I think they're only ever going to be squad players, but they're good in terms of what we're covering and who we're covering. But that's not all we've got to look forward to today. I say all to look forward to today. So there's been a couple of bits and pieces that have happened since the last video. We had the Chelsea 2-2 draw and the FA Cup win away at Bournemouth. Let's start with Chelsea. So there was a lot of stuff in the press afterwards. Chelsea fans have been going on and on about the fact that we were celebrating a draw when it wasn't that long ago when they beat us 2-1 at the Emirates. But for me, it wasn't about, and I'm sure most Greeners will agree with this, it wasn't about the draw. It wasn't about securing a point at Chelsea. It was about the manner in which it was done. The style of football we played, the way that we came back from having 10 men. We didn't collapse, we didn't falter, we carried on going and going and going. We didn't have our best player up front or our most talismanic player up front, perhaps, maybe even now, because with Martinelli coming through, is Aubameyang even our best striker now? That's a good quandary to have. But yeah, so for me, It was a strange one, to sending off. If it had happened anywhere else on the pitch, and possibly with any other player other than David Luiz, who was coming back to his former club, it might have only been a yellow. But he had to go. He bundled him over. He probably didn't need to bundle him over. He might have got away with just trying to shepherd him and stay strong. But honestly, the minute you touch him, he's going down in the box. He's already gone past Leno, who could have made a challenge but didn't. But it was just the suicidal ball from Mustafi. And, he had released that press report, and it was all about how he feels responsible, or he didn't even say that though, did he? It was about how he feels like he lets the team down, or, you can feel the fans getting on his back or whatnot. But when you do stuff like that, man, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And apart from that, he didn't really put a foot wrong for the rest of the game, but it was too late by then, and we'd lost David Luiz, who also was having a good game up until that point and was fired up. Obviously, he wanted to prove something wrong. The Chelsea fans singing he's one of our own. And yeah, we didn't win it. And yeah, we might have celebrated and gone over the top a bit, but we got a 2-2 draw away at Chelsea when 4 or 5 weeks ago, they would have battered us 3-0. But we kept plugging away, and that's been at least the Mikel Arteta effect, is that we keep plugging away, and we're getting back to that let's not give up until it is actually over type of thing. And only a couple of weeks ago, I was saying about how we played Man United. I keep coming back to it, because that's what we have to do at the moment. We're comparing and contrasting. And I said about how we've always played the teams in the past. We don't play the current team, and Arteta's trying to change that, and you can see that. And that was the thing about Chelsea. A couple of seasons before, we would have lost that game massively, whereas this game is like, just play your game. and we come away with a 2-2 draw, and that's a credible result. You know, Chelsea are a different animal at home than they are away. They were lucky at our place. We just ran out of steam, and we hadn't really been playing the Arteta way long enough. And I think if that game, I've said this a couple of times under Emery now as well, weirdly, but I do genuinely think, again, if that game had been played now, it would have been a different result. So yeah, happy with a 2-2 draw at Chelsea. Never been a happy hunting ground for us, really, the Bridge. So then we moved on to the FA Cup game against Bournemouth. Now, I know it was only Bournemouth. I know it was only an FA Cup game, but it was away. And it was a really good performance. A really good performance. You know, we let a goal in at the end, but we controlled the game. We let them get into it a bit more, but I think we were just easing off a little bit. But somewhere in between the Chelsea and the Bournemouth game, that's where we need to find our level. Right there, that's where we need to be. It's somewhere in between the two. Because there's a bit of everything that we had there. And we've got a bright future ahead still. We've always said this. Arsenal have always said we're only 1 or 2 players away. Hopefully Mikel Arteta can get those 1 or 2 players in. And it won't obviously be now in the January transfer window. It'll be in the summer transfer window. But we've got some players that are already there. And, you know, Pepe's going to take his time to settle in. Players do. David Luiz, we thought might have done, but the business that he's done now in the transfer window, maybe that will help him out. And that's what I want to come back to now. So a little skip over because, you know, the Bournemouth game, it was a nothing. There was no real... there were no real moments of discussion, you know. Good goals, controlled the game well, relaxed late on and conceded the goal. Fine. Done. So the transfer window, it's just closed. Man United are signing players like Igalo, bizarrely. That's a weird transfer for me to United. Whilst also getting Bruno Fernandes. All very strange. Excuse me. We signed 2 players, defenders, who we've been crying out for. We've all been saying for ages now we need defenders at the club. But they're not the £70 million defenders. They're not the Van Dijks. They're not whoever, right? You're not going to get that quality of defender at the moment to come to Arsenal in January. Not going to happen. Just not going to happen. Liverpool might be able to do it. Man City might be able to do it. Man United might be able to do it if they throw enough money at them. You know, if a £50 million player comes to the market, United would have to pay £80 million, like Harry Maguire, to come in January. Right? Arsenal just cannot do that at the moment because we're in such a state of flux. Right? So what they have done is brought players in. And this is, I don't mean this in any other way, but Murray, he can't be any worse than Mustafi. It just can't be. Law of averages. And we've had some shocking centre-backs over the time, from Arsene Wenger right up until now. Senderos, Sigan, Squillaci, Sylvestre. Do you know what I mean? Gallas could have been a great player, but wasn't. He just fell apart. He couldn't hack it out of Arsenal. So this guy is coming in. We've lost Chambers. We've lost Holdings as such. He's coming back holding. He's bits and pieces. We've lost now Mustafi again, so he's going to come in and play a little squad role. But he's a left-footed defender, so maybe that might even up the balance. Like when we had Vieira and Petit in midfield, you had a left foot and a right footer, Stevie Bold and Tony Adams. That might be all it takes. It might be all it takes that we get someone that is more naturally sided on the left and someone that's more naturally sided on the right. Click. Who knows? It might just be that simple. The guy was at Man City, he's had trials, he's had loans, he's the first Spanish player to win the Copa Libertadores, or however you pronounce it. He's a player, he can play football. He has played football, maybe not at the very highest level. Arsenal aren't at the very highest level at the moment. They're just a good Premier League side, and we have to remember that. That's what we have to get through our heads at Arsenal at the moment. We're not the Arsenal of the Invincibles. We're not even the Arsenal of 3 years after that. We're down here now. and this is where we need to be at the moment, right? And the second one, Cedric Suarez, he's won the European Championships with Portugal. He's no mug of a defender. All right, he didn't do it at Southampton, but that could just become down to management. Could just be a manager thing. Didn't like him. But I tell you what, and this is what I think, and I don't know if anyone else is. Maybe this is just me clutching at straws. He's been brought in to cover at fullback, I believe, which means Ainsley Maitland-Niles is going to be pushed further forward again and go back into his favourite position. Saka might even be the one. He might even play him there, and that can only be a good thing. Bukayo Saka under Arteta has proved a really good fullback stroke winger. You know, he's getting forward, he's creating chances. If we can push him forward and keep him starting at a forward position, imagine what he could do for us. If we could do that with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who now knows where a fullback's going to stand, where he's going to come short, when he's going to go long, and he can play off that because it's the Ajax thing. Everyone knows everyone plays in somebody else's position, so you know what that player's going to do during the game when you're playing against them. Maybe, just maybe, that's what he's thinking. He said, rather than playing a square peg in a round hole, I will put this player in. All right, he might be a right-sided fullback, but that means he can transition to left if it needed. It'll just have to change a little bit of his tactical awareness, not change his whole game. And maybe that means I can push two of the best young English midfielders at the club, maybe in the top 6, because these guys are good. And if they go into their natural positions, you'll see a different side to them. Maybe that's where it's going to be. Maybe that's what we're going to do. We'll see against Burnley. We'll see if either of them, any of them, none of them start. We'll see. But it's a small little climb. We're getting there. And Arsenal are coming back. And we are coming back. Mikel Arteta might not be the manager to do it, but he might be the manager to start the groundwork. In the same way that Don Howe brought the young kids to Arsenal and George Graham took them on to the next level. Tony Adams, David Raycastle, Paul Merson's, not David O'Leary, he was there for years, Ray Parlours. These guys needed a manager to make them flourish. Maybe, like I say, maybe Arteta's not the man, maybe he is, we'll find out next season. But he might be the man that brings them in and has them in place ready for a manager to take over. Who knows? But we are coming back. We won't win the title for years. We're not anywhere close to it. But let's get back into top 4 with a settled squad that can do business. Enjoy the game against Burnley at the weekend. I know I will. We've got the Six Nations starting as well, so it's quite a good weekend for sport. And I will see you midweek after the Burnley game. Cheers.